Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We're going back into red zones in Zamasu. I did say we're going to do a ton of videos against this guy, testing out units. And one that I definitely didn't forget about, but has done incredibly well so far everywhere else, is this man right here. The EZA, side EZA shall I say, Strength SSJ Trunks. He has been on a warpath. And for a side EZA, just like Zamasu, I'll bring Zamasu in here as well, potentially as well. He has been above and beyond. Like a side EZA, you just don't get side EZAs this good. So yeah, we're going to leave it like this. I mean, we are going to start with an item. Of course, we are going to basically mini stack with Trunks right now. For 6 turns, raising his defense by 40%. We are also, finally, after all this time, facing a Realm of God's enemy. So we are indeed going to be getting the attacks effective against all types. We are going to have this Trunks at his very best. So if a Whis active, no defense. I mean, I say no defense, obviously not literally, but I mean, he hasn't super attacked yet, so he hasn't started building up that 40% he gets on super attack. But with an item active, combined with the damage reduction he already has, he tanks even pre-super Fusion Zamasu for double digits, which is good because, again, I've said a lot of the top units in the game, they need to build up. Those AoEs, because most of the time they're in slot 1, catch even the best units in the game. So you're always using an item here, especially the Whis. This guy takes no damage from it, which is great. We're going to see how he tanks a super. He did super attack twice, so that's 80% in total, with damage reduction of 40%, and he only took 38k. 38,000 damage against the hardest current enemy in the entire game. And Fusion Zamasu is doing about 1.3 mil, I think, on a super. The exact numbers he does on a super here is 1.2.5 mil. Again, bearing in mind, this Trunks has 6 turns of building his defense up. He super attacked twice here. 40% of it he keeps as a stack. So with 80% on the defense, starting with like 130k defense at the start of turn with 40% damage reduction, this man tanked 1.2.5 mil and an AoE before he even super attacked, all for nothing. As I said, you do not get side EZAs that are this good. Ever. I mean, there's probably a couple here and there that I'm not remembering off the top of my head, sure. But like, we have gone down the path of loads of damage very quickly. And as I said, even some of the best units in the entire game have struggled against Zamasu, especially in this first phase, because of those AoEs, because of how much damage he's doing early on, and because they need to build up. Trunks does need to build up. As I said, he has mini stacking. He needs to build that defense up as much as possible, especially as a side EZA that doesn't have the stats of an LR and a Dokkan Fest. And he's tanking one of the hardest enemies for double digits on super and AoE. Even this Trunks, who was the Carnival LR that came out during this worldwide when Zamasu dropped, even with a Whis active, on the AoE, he's still taking 30k. Bear in mind, he does have to build up damage reduction by supering. This super attack will actually probably do more damage to this Trunks than the other one. Yeah, 125k. 125k. That 40% damage reduction this Trunks has, it's amazing. It's great. It makes him so good. It actually kind of almost puts him on the level of Dokkan Fest EZAs. And he's a side EZA. They're never this good. They can be pretty good, but never this good. So we do have 306k defense right now, which is good. We are going to have the second turn of him supering. I do actually really want to see what he tanks without an item, but unfortunately that's just not something we can risk here right now. So we are going to pop the Whis just to make sure. Pretty much at this point, Trunks and Mai are doing okay. They do have their damage reduction as well, because our entire rotation is Future Saga, so they're actually kind of chilling in slot 3. Yeah, see? But the fact this is a side EZA giving the hardest current enemy in Dokkan a run for his money is actually a joke. Like, it's stupid. It is stupid. Let's not forget as well, the more HP we lose, which is likely, the more of that 180% attack and defense this Trunks is going to get as well, which means he only gets stronger, which actually helps us. We're not getting too much of it right now, but we're getting some of it. We're getting some of it, which, as I said, actually only makes him better. Big 2.7 mil crit. Don't forget, has a guaranteed additional as well because of the Realm of God's Enemy. That was the other thing. Along with attacks effective against all types, he has a guaranteed additional. So he's always going to have a bumper in defense. He's always going to have an extra 40%, even if the potential system doesn't trigger and we don't get an additional from there, which is good. It helps him tank even more. This is what I was saying when we were in Worldwide. Because of the way he's built and him basically being almost like Fusion Zamasu's Kryptonite, being Realm of God category enemies Kryptonite, it gives him even more value. Because a lot of the top units struggle here, and this is a side EZA that probably the majority of people have in the game, it gives him even more value of how good he is. So not only is his EZA naturally that good, we've tried him in every piece of difficult content in the game, and he's done well in all of it. But because he's also got extra value to him coming in against Fusion Zamasu, and also don't forget type advantage against the second phase as well, which is huge, along with how well he can tank, it makes him even more valuable. It makes him even more usable. Like, he was already, to me, one of the first units I put on the team when I'm going to face Fusion Zamasu when I was trying to beat it for the first time. He still goes onto the team when I'm testing out other units as well. And I try and get him on as many teams as possible when I'm testing and showcasing those units out against Fusion Zamasu. He's that good. He is that good. And that like guaranteed additional he gets to give him something like bumper defense, some extra 40%. Of course, it's going to guaranteed help him tank even better, which is exactly what you want and exactly what he needs, naturally being a side EZA and not having the same type of stats that, as I said, Dokkan Fest and LRs have. They're up to 438k right now. Don't forget, we will get the extra 10% damage reduction once he's done his 6th attack, which we may get it fairly late. Again, just because of how short content is. Actually, no, he might actually have... No, I think he might have it already. First turn, because of the guaranteed additional super, he would have attacked twice. We then got a base additional, which is 3 times. I don't think we got a base additional or just an additional in general from the potential system last turn. So actually, he should get it this turn. He's going to get his extra 10% damage reduction from the 6th attack this turn because he's on 5 or should be on 5. So he's going to have 50% damage reduction along with being, 3 supers deep? Going to be 4 supers deep? No, he's going to be 3 supers deep this turn in terms of stacking his defense for 6 turns. He's already starting with 400k or just over with type advantage. And he's going to super before he gets hit with the extra 10% damage reduction. How much is this going to do, though? It's been a little bit since I've seen him get hit by a super. Quite a bit, but we're alive. Even damage-wise, the type advantage is going to help him as well. Actually kind of put a dent in his health bar. It's not a lot, because he's not a massive damage dealer naturally as a side EZA. But at least he actually does a bit of extra damage because we have dupes, but mainly because he has type advantage. So he definitely has 50% damage reduction right now, and look at that, double digits. This is an enemy who has the hardest hitting normals in the game of 700k. And this Trunks tanks it for niche. I love this EZA so much. I think I love it that much as well. Really? Really? I want to see more, man. I want to see more.
A few moments later.
Alright, we're back. A little bit earlier than we was before. So we're not quite where Trunks was defensively, and he doesn't have his full 50% damage reduction. However, we do still have a Whis active right now. So we should be able to tank everyone. I'm looking at you, Trunks, and my specifically, not dodging. Everyone should be tanking fairly well here, no matter what. No matter what. But in terms of his damage reduction and how close we are to it, I think... I mean, what? Return 4. He was on turn... No, he's on turn 2. So yeah, no, he's actually only 3 attacks down because he triple supered against Zamasu in his first appearance. So if we triple now, Even if the third additional or the third attack is only a basic, we will get his damage reduction, which is good. 5 milli though is actually really nice, especially because he can crit. He's rainbowed. All right, he should now have his full damage reduction. So right now he has 90% damage reduction. Not that we got to really test it with anything because there was only one attack and he done a normal. But if Trunks got super attack there, that would have been 90% damage reduction. Where that's another thing as well. Again, I always like to say this now as kind of like a side note. For those of you who do no item runs, it doesn't really mean anything to you. But for me, who uses items because they are there for you to use, and we also have the domain, so Trunks going to do even more damage now. But the type advantage really comes into play. But oh, I thought we were going to get this, guys. Never mind, we didn't. I mean, we're not going to pop it because we don't need to. Like, the videos aren't about them. Okay? Okay? But for those of you who do use items like myself, because they are made to be used, they are there for you to use. If you use a Whis with this Trunks, once he has his full damage reduction, the full extra 10%, the full 50, Trunks will tank with 90% damage reduction with a Whis active, which means literally every attack currently in the game, maybe actually besides probably like actual Cell Max event, Trunks should be tanking it for nothing because that's almost a full 100% damage reduction. Actually, maybe even Cell Max. Maybe you might even tank him fairly well. Maybe not for nothing, but still fairly well. But yeah, if you use an item with this Trunks, he will have 90% damage reduction. So like next to no attacks in the game, if any, will actually touch him. None of them will do damage, which I'm a big fan of. So not only is he tanking very well without an item active and one of the hardest enemies in the game, but he can tank any enemy in the game, including super attacks that are doing ridiculous amounts of damage for nothing as well, because with an item, he has almost full 100% damage reduction. It's actually crazy how a Carnival LR is taking more damage than a side EZA. Like, Trunks will take that. We've seen it already. From normals, he tanks double digits here. That Trunks took 100k per basic. Bear in mind, I think he supered 2-3 times minimum, so it's not even like he was missing loads of damage reduction either. I love this, man. I love this Trunks' EZA so much, but we have like no health. So, do you know what I'm going to do? He has 655k defense right now, which is great. Again, if he didn't have no damage reduction, that by itself would be terrible here. Like, you need way more defense. 50% damage reduction. Actually, wait, are we... No, we don't... I was going to say, do we have a link active that's giving us that? No. What links do we have with Trunks and Mai? We lose a ton, so really leave it like that. So we have over 600k defense, 655 to be exact, with 50% damage reduction. I'm going to put him in slot 1 to see how he does before supering. And hopefully, I want him to be super attacked. I want to see how well he's tanking Fusion Zamasu's super attack right now with his stats the way they are. He's even going to do more damage because of the domain. He may actually even do enough to kill Zamasu, especially if he doubles. So that's like, what, almost 800k defense with 50% damage reduction right now. No, we're not going to see him get supered. Actually, I know why his defense is bumped up. We have 54k HP, which means he has pretty much all of that 180% attack and defense he gets, the lower the HP remaining, which really isn't difficult to get him, considering how hard Zamasu hits. So it's quite easy to get it. Is it risky? Yeah. So if you can maintain your HP kind of like that, near that lowish mark, he'll be all right. But he was at his best possible scenario there. Dare I say it, without an item, I think he still tanks for a side EZA. Remember that, for a side EZA, I still think he tanks Fusion Zamasu without an item, especially post super. Like, with the type advantage, he tanks it really well. Maybe not exactly double digits, but nowhere where you're gonna have to worry about him. He doesn't get one shot. You don't lose almost your entire health. I think when I actually done serious runs, if I remember rightly, I think Trunks took 200k. 200k tops, which for a team that has 700 to 800k HP and him being a side EZA again, is really, really good. I love this EZA a lot, but you can let me know your thoughts down in the comments. We've taken him in against every difficult piece of content and he has absolutely just decimated all of it. And I'm seriously impressed. But as I said, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, have a good rest of your day, and peace.